Bassur B'chalav. This guy's meat and his cheese are cold. When you put it in the oven and you turn it on to warm it up, right now you're cooking it again. You're heating up, and you're cooking the Bassur B'chalav. So, so as mentioned, it depends. It depends how they made the cheeseburger. There's two different ways to make cheeseburgers. From the Yodei Chaim, I heard that there's Wendy's and McDonald's, and they make them differently. In one of them, they actually bake the burger together with the cheese, and then you'll get into the shiur of the Mishloach Bishul, which is the machlekes. In the other one, they do the cheese separate and the meat separate, and then they put them together once they're on the plate. That already may not be muvushal. It's going to be klisheni, it's very possible it's not muvushal, so when you reheat it, you may run actually a problem of bishul Bassur B'chalav for the first time. Another interesting shaila I saw, a very interesting shaila, if someone's an electrician, and there's someone's a super from a building, and the electricity goes out. You know, there's the electrician, he's fixing for a whole block, 20 apartment buildings, so there's a good chance there's a guy who has his electric oven, his toaster oven, he has some Bassur B'chalav that was cooking. When you fix his electricity, what are you doing? You're putting back on his oven. So is that going to be a problem of Bassur B'chalav? They'll knock on all the doors and tell everyone that, when I fix electric, no oven's going to be on, otherwise it's going to pull too much surge in the circuit, or you can just go fix it. Another very common shaila is, if someone works in a nursing home, he's an aide, a nurse, and you have to feed your patient. And hospital food, if it's fleishik, there's a very good chance it's Bassur B'chalav. Anyone who ever opened up a Goyish cookbook, you'll see many of the fleishik dishes there have milk inside, milk, butter, cheese. So is it going to be mutter to feed the patient? A more Yiddish shaila than this is, if you own a nursing home, you own a chain of hotels, you own it in Nebraska somewhere where no Yid's going to step foot, you have no problems with the either. No Yid's not eating from it. But if you're going to have a cook who's going to be cooking, he's going to be making Bassur B'chalav. So you're having hana from Bassur B'chalav. That's what you're making your business in your hotel. That's what you're feeding your people in the nursing home. L'chayra, this is how do you get around this? How do you get around this problem? I once heard from Moshe Heinemann. He told someone. He said, if you want to be over every single isser in the Torah, own a nursing home. The person who heard it from him said that he tried to be nizar in this, but he couldn't help the chayes. It was too good for business. So, next shaila, which comes up, not so much in the yeshivish crowd, but you go a little further out. This is a very common shaila which people aren't always aware of. Shaila, the first time I came across it was I was learning in Patterson, and one Thursday night, after learning a long mishmar, the Ilm decided to take a walk in the park. And there was a 4-footed creature, which I guess also learned a long mishmar and had the misfortune of taking a walk in the park at that night. And the Bachram caught the dog. They made him a leash with binding tape and string. They brought him to the yeshiva. They tied him to the thing in the sukkah in the back. They locked the door. The kids, 20 minutes before Shabbos, I see a Bachar's running with a big, huge sack of dog food. He bought it to feed the dog. And he's looking around and says, where's the dog? So someone had Rahmanas and freed the dog. So Lamaisa, this Bachait is a Chasher Yeshiva. But upon him, I guess he looked out for his constituents even then. So the shaila is, number one, dog food very often is Bassur B'chalav. Just like all Goyish tuna fish is all OUD, it all has dairy in it. They soak all these things in milk because it makes it heavier and it's cheaper than meat. And also it's very healthy, of course, for the dog. Then it should be soaked in milk and then they cook it. So very, very often, and dog food or cat food is Bassur B'chalav. A lady called up the Beis Harah that Nebuchadnezzar's cat is very sick, and the vet said that he can't handle fish, that he has to get fatty meats. She went, she bought a thing, she reads the ingredients, said it has in it milk. So you want to know, but could you feed a cat Bassur B'chalav? I mean, if someone has a Singai dog, whatever it is, and he runs out of kosher food. OU, at one time, they asked OU to put a hechsher on dog food. And they were considering it because it is a real problem, but they decided that it wouldn't do it. It's not worth the bizyainis people are going to do to them if they put a hechsher on dog food. They wouldn't put a hechsher not for shchita, the hechsher that it shouldn't have in the Bassur B'chalav. But upon him, what's taka the halacha with this? And more than that, after you buy a dog food or you buy any food, let's say you go into ShopRite and you bought food which you thought was kosher, and you made a mistake. So now you have the food, you want to return it. It's Bassur B'chalav. If you're returning it, they're giving you back money. You're not allowed to have enough from Bassur B'chalav. Is this called that you're selling it back to them and you're getting your money back? Or when you return it, the sale never happened. How do you look at it? It isn't going to be mutter to return Bassur B'chalav. Another shaila is of cooking Bassur B'chalav, which happens to all wonderful from Yidden. Erev Pesach, you fill up your garbage can, you go to Yeshiva's fire with 6 bags of chametz. In there you have last week's cholent, which had in it barley. You have your kids' pizza, for which they were eating a whole week, all packed together. You chuck it right into the fire. What's going to happen before it burns? It's going to cook. So you're cooking now Bassur B'chalav. I saw by Meir Bransdorfer, he said that when the Chaver go to Afghanistan and Eretz Yisrael, they should be very careful when they burn the garbage cans. There shouldn't be a mitzvah above Aveira. If there's going to be milks and fleshs in there, so you're going to have a problem. So what's taka the halacha? If someone is working in a place that has an incinerator and you throw the garbage bags into the fire, what's the story with this? There was a maisa that some guy wanted to make a thing for McDonald's, so he collected all the runoff, all the extra oil that they were finished with. Yes, he cleaned it and he put it in his truck and he drove across the United States with it. Is that mutter? That oil is full of Bassur B'chalav. So would that be mutter? If someone has a job as a dishwasher in the Trefa restaurant, can you turn on the dishwasher? Or the boiling water is coming out, it's going to spray up the dishes. So I saw a shaila, someone had that, could you wash dirty towels together from the kitchen? Bassur B'chalav. It's hot water coming in. What's halacha to be a waiter, a delivery boy of Bassur B'chalav? Someone's in chef school, right? So over there you have 2 problems. Number one is you have to cook the meal what they tell you how to cook. So they give you something to cook with Bassur B'chalav. What do? And even if you're not cooking, if you're watching the instructor, people like to watch cooking shows. So if you're watching a guy cooking Bassur B'chalav and you're learning from them chachma, good. So you won't use chalav, you'll use something else. There's margarine instead of butter, but you having hana from his cooking Bassur B'chalav. One last shaila, interesting shaila, is Bassur B'chalav. We have to know what kind of animals have the issue of Bassur B'chalav. How about people? People meat. Is there any isser to eat that with chalav? Now, where does this come up? So I heard an interesting maisa. My brother told me he learned the Pikskal Mahem. Every yeshiva kiyadua has its goy. That goy over there had no nerves in his hand, so he would stick his hand into a hot pot on the fire. So if it's a milcha thing, would it be a problem Bassur B'chalav? A more gigantic shaila is you take the coffee out of the microwave. The coffee itself is a kli rishon. It's right out of the microwave, and you drink it, and you burn your tongue. You spit it back in. Now, is this coffee Bassur B'chalav? So let's try to go through the Aleph Beis and try to get Beis Hashem to the Shailas. It says in the Torah 3 times, Leisavashal Gedi B'chalev Imai. The Gemara says we learn from this 3 things. Number 1, you can't cook Leisavashal. Number 2, you can't eat it. Number 3, you can't have anah. So we have a Deiraisa that is an Isser of Gedi B'chalev Imai. The Gemara says that Mideiraisa, it's number 1, it's only if it's cooked. If you have a salami sandwich with three pieces of cheese inside, Mideiraisa, eat it gesundheit. Mideiraisa, the Isser is only cooking. Number 2, the Isser is only a kosher animal, Gedi. Something similar to Gedi. If you have venison from a deer, there's no Isser. If you have a bird, if you have chicken and milk is not Asr Mideiraisa. It doesn't have any, it doesn't have any milk, a bird, so there's no Issa Deiraisa to have a bird in milk. And Dogim and Chagavim is even mutter, even Midrabanon, if someone has to have the grasshopper soup and they want to put in some butter, gesundheit. And number 3, a treifa animal. If someone's making bacon with eggs, with cheese, gesundheit. There's no Isser Bishul. You can't eat it, but there's no Isser Bishul, no Isser Hano. But a kosher animal is going to have an Isser Mideiraisa. Lamai nafkamina. Nafkamina is the Isser to have the Isser of Hana and Bishul. Chazal only made by things which are did not make by things which are only Asr D'Rabbanan. Isser Achila, chicken and milk, we have Isser. But the Isser Hana and Isser Bishul is not by things which are only Midirabbanan. So we'll get to that. Now, the Isser is only to cook. What goes into cooking? So we have a shaila, what's the halacha with sli? If it's roasted, is roasted, it says like savashal, don't cook. is roasting considered cooking in halacha? So this is a tremendous machlokes in the Achronim. It's really back to Rishonim that so one of the rayas, they bring an interesting raya. It said the Medrash says that the Malachim ate. Tais brings down from Tzvi, the Malachim ate Bassur B'chalav by Avram. Now where they eat Bassur B'chalav? Avram didn't cook for them Bassur B'chalav. Avram kept Kol Torah Kula. He didn't cook for them Bassur B'chalav. So they ate it. They had Avram bought them the cow, the tongues from the cow, and he bought them chema, bought them butter. So they smeared the butter onto the meat and they ate it. So the meat was boiling hot. They put on the butter. That was the Bassur B'chalav that they ate. We write that is they rice it even by frying. And tzli lemaisa is a tremendous machlokes rishonim about what's the machlokes achronim. What's the halacha by tzli? Now it's a safek they rice avada. It's usher to do. You can't if you have a guy has pizza. And pepperoni pizzas, they put meat in the pizza. You can't rewarm the guy's pizza because even though it's not called cooking, cooking is only in liquid. Cheese and hot cheese and meat is not called just together is not called cooking. But there's still going to be a shayla tzli. It's going to be usher, but it's going to be making nafkamina. Could we use it for tziruf? Now, Bassur Oif we said is not usher mishlana. If by mistake you poured in soup mix into your milk soup. And then you read the ingredients and you chap that it had chicken in it. So you could give it gesundheit to your guy to eat. You could mix it, you could cook it.
Humans, certainly.
What?
In this case, humans certainly would not have this or have no bishul.
By,
according to this discussion, that human meat.
Yeah, l'chayr there's no issue about b'chalav on human meat.
So the burning
so
the
burning tongue will be, out that reason alone will be mutter. Yeah, there may be another reason why it will be mutter, but out that reason alone will be mutter.
Yeah, but you're not eating the milk.
Right. No, you are. You can drink the milk afterwards. You can drink the milk afterwards. So you may have a problem. Now there's a Maisa with Nosson Adler. Nosson Adler was Chamsayf's Rebbe, that there was a butter factory, and there was a bird that was very excited about the butter, and he came right down, but he forgot that the butter was hot. And the bird went into the butter, and he got cooked in there. So now you have Bassur B'chalav. And they went to Nosson Adler to ask what they do with the butter. Could they sell it to a guy? He said, no, Bassur B'chalav is usher b'deraisa, usher b'ana. You got to dump it in the river. After they dumped it in the river, someone woke up and said, what's going on? What are you saying? It's Bassur B'chalav. Bassur B'chalav is mutar b'ana. You can sell it to a guy. So some Sefer was very bothered by this problem. And he said, no. He said, lo ye'una l'tzadik chol ra. If my Rebbe gave a psak, it must have been right. Why taka was it right? So he had an einfall. He said that the bird flew in when it was alive. So there's blias of Eiv Menachai in the butter. A guy can't eat Eiv Menachai, so you can't sell it to a guy. Everyone who came after some Sefer was up in arms. The Paiskim say a chai is not maflat mavliya. Blias do not come out of a chai. The Shvarzer sticks his hand in the pot, no blias come out when something's alive. Now, it has to be that way, otherwise you're going to run a problem. If you have a fish tank in the fish store, which has in there some catfish and some sharks and some crabs and some carp, are you going to have the cheshbon that is 6 shish, there should be shishim against the tray for fish? Of course not. So a chai, right, as we said, every time a guy burns his tongue, the food's might be aser. If you hold basar adam's aser. So, im kain, that avada, they say a chai is not mavliya. The Stipler has an eight, he says the wings of the bird die before the bird. I mean, the wings is a very shvacha aver. So Mela, once the wings, it's as if they're cut off once they're dead. And Mela, they cut off before the bird died, so it's going to be aver nachai. Al kopanim that would say nachamol that for chai is not mavliya, and the Bassur Adam saying anyway it's not a problem. And if it's possible chalav of Bassur Oif, then it's mutter to sell to a guy. Now, it said if someone works in a hospital of Goyim or nursing home, Bassur Oif B'chalav is no problem to cook. Now, what about Bassur Behema? So over here we have like this, that to rewarm it is bishul achar bishul, if they was cooked together. You can't take cooked meat and cooked cheese and recook them together. But if you have cooked Bassur B'chalav, then Rabbi Kiva Eiger holds that there's no isser of bishul achar bishul. You're chol coming like Kiva Eiger, but we do have such a shita that there's no bishul achar bishul. Now the next step is like this: a treifa animal, we said, there's no isser Bassur B'chalav. You're in cooking school. If you have an option to take horse meat, if you have an option to bake bacon with cheese, take that instead of kosher meat. If you don't have such an option, so like this, there is a shmooze about Bassur Nevela. Kipshutai Bassur Nevela, if you have a cow that you bought in ShopRite, it's not shechted. Pashas has a regular Isser Bassur B'chalav, and that's come out all the places come home. The Double Meravava came up with a gewaldige chiddush. He quotes a Rambam that says like this. He says, Isser Bishul, Isser to cook Bassur Nevela B'chalav, you're definitely going to have. But he says like this. The Torah made Bassur B'chalav Asr B'hana. What's pshat in the Isser Hana? The Rambam says the Isser Hana is the Torah wants to be so careful you shouldn't eat it. It's like an extension of the Isser Achila. So Bassur B'chalav is something which is very common in everyone's kitchen. To Torah Asr B'hana, you should stay totally away from it. Zok the Rambam, we have a rule, Ein Isser Halal Isser. That means, if let's say it's Yom Kippur, and you have an animal dies, it dies on Yom Kippur, and now you have a nevela. If someone eats it, they're not going to get malchus for Yom Kippur, for nevela, only for Yom Kippur. There's one isser there, another isser is not chal. Zok Dagul Mervava, Zok the Rambam, that if you have something which is asr because it's nevela, it's not chal on it, isser Bassur B'chalav, negeh the isser achila, and negeh the isser hana. The male is Zok the Rambam, that if you have treifa meat, you have a cheeseburger, it's not asr b'hana. If you want to go pick one up for your goyish worker, you want to have them feed them to your chaver in the nursing home, it's Bassur Nevela. It's not going to be, you're not allowed to cook it, but if the guy cooked it, it's not asr b'hana, and you could be none of it. Now the Rava says that only to be saying on this b'makom hefsid. Many argue on this. Some Sefer was yes the shaila by a candle factory. They make candles out of tallow. Tallow is fats from animals, and in the they decided to make it to get away. Tallow was expensive, so they threw in some butter. They figured it also burned, and no one will chop. But someone saw that someone chopped and said, "Now you can't use these candles." So some Sefer says that if someone seimach on the Dagul Meravava, then it's not the end of the world. There's we won't yell at him. He says, Avadi, you shouldn't be seimach on it, but if someone's seimach on it, you shouldn't yell at him. Now, everyone asks Akasha over here, what happened to when you light a candle, you're burning the Bassur B'chalav, you're cooking it. So this we'll have to get to how the Achronim deal with this problem. You can't light the candle. And it's also interesting that, what? So if you have Bishul Achar Bishul, would be a good
How you made it?
What?
You had to melt it somehow.
Right, no, so if you hold, that's totally the Machlokes of Bishul Achar Bishul. It's true. Haylach le'ibud, we'll have to discuss. Right, so this is also good. This is richtig. This is the big maramokum on that.
Also, it's not liquid. It becomes a liquid.
Oh, you're saying al bishul. The shadow, it was liquid when it was cooked the first time. So you're saying al bishul.
Then it's a short bishul bishul.
I hear.
Let's say somebody did a business deal.
So it's makom hefsid. It's makom hefsid. The lashon of.
What's that option to burn the $100 that the guy made?
No, that's a different shmooze. What's asr b'hana? The shas, the guy's sitting now. He just bought a whole what's called a whole pallet of it.
Yeah, he sold it.
Before he sells it. That's a shas. Could he sell it? If he sells it, but you have the money, it's not necessary. Even if you have
also has the dough. Wherever to be selling from.
Really?
Is there a difference in the type of the ano? Meaning you're not using the ano for eating, right?
You're not allowed to feed your guy. You're not allowed to feed your patient. You're not allowed to sell it.
So if you use it as the candle, let's say, right?
So pashtus, if in this case of the what's called again, it's already Bassur B'chalav. It would be asr b'hana for anything. You wouldn't be able to use it for a candle. When you burn it, you're not allowed to cook on it. That the Gemara says. Now, this negeh over here would be if let's say you want to heat up a guy's pizza, right? You have your guy should work. You want to heat up his pizza. You're making a barbecue. And the guy has a separate barbecue. He has his blue burger over there, which is full of cheese. He asks you to flip it for him. So over here, there will be, we have 3 tzadim lahakol. Number 1, it's Bassur Nevela. You have the Dagul Meravava. Wait, it's not going to help for Bishul. That's going to help for Hana, not for Bishul. But for Bishul, if let's say he asks you to deliver it, or something like that. So or to feed a patient. So you're going to have, you have the svara of sometimes you may have ein bishul achar bishul, depending on the case. I'm mixing it up here with the bishul. 1 second. But you have it's Bassur Nevela, and it's sli because if it's not cooked, so you have another tziruf here to the Dagul Meravava. So over here you may be mokim to dan. Now, owning a hotel and a nursing home, you're going to be dealing with regular, good old-fashioned Bassur B'chalav cooked in a pot. You do have this shiur for Bassur Nevela, but we said that the price can say not to be samech on it by itself, and certainly not as l'chatchila. So when you buy a hotel, the only real eitzah in your nursing home, the only eitzah is going to be you have a guy own the entire industry of feeding. You sell the chelik of feeding, that a guy should be his franchise. That means you hire a guy and you pay him to take care of the food in your hotel. The food belongs to him and the feeding belongs to him, and he makes money on that, and you have nothing, and then you're out and you have nothing to do with it. You're not making any money on that. Mamela, you're not going to be having hana. Now, again, dog food. So weiter. We have here dog food. It's bishul Bassur B'chalav. It is Bassur Nevela. So you're going to have the dog mervava. So, if someone has a seeing eye dog and he has no other food, so it's a big tzarech, l'chayra, if he's up the creek, it's not, if he does it, he has what to be samech on. I was wondering about if someone owns an animal, if someone has his own private dog, and he bought dog food, and by mistake he bought the wrong one. So, l'chayra, if he's not allowed to eat before he feeds his animal. So, if the dan, Shabbos, the marshal, he stuck the whole Shabbos to have food for the animal. The halacha is if you have to feed the animal before you eat yourself. So in Cain, he's going to be stuck without not being able to eat. So maybe that would be tzad to more to be samech to bring lahach. Now if you
dog food gets warmed up, but you can't warm up the dog.
I think dogs eat it cold. I think that's the minhag.
Depends.
I'm not tawakan. Now, if you bought it by mistake about returning it, I heard a fascinating riot, this shaila, that when you return something, you're selling it back to the store, or that what's called then, or that you're just getting it. It's not mekach tois. If it says on the package what it is, there's no mekach tois. You should have read the package before you bought it.
I'm saying, but they're allowing you to return it means that they're not doing a new kinyan. They're just.
Oh, so what's who said that's how it works? Maybe they're buying it back from you. They let you have a trial for 30 days, then you return it. So how do you look at it? So I heard a fascinating raya. I saw Shlomo Miller's Adam. He bought this raya. When you return it, you get back your sales tax. If you were selling it back to them, so fakert, you have to pay again sales tax. They should have to pay sales tax. So he brings this raya and he says, Mamela, that returning something is taka, it's just you're undoing the mekach. It's like it was sold out tonight, that if you want to return it, you can return it. And Mamela taka will be mutter to return. Now, burning chametz and burning garbage cans by the
You still got
chametz.
credit card points.
What?
You don't get your.
Take it back up.
But if you put it back on the
credit
credit
card
card,
company has
they'll
the
come
ability
on.
to take it back.
They do?
Yes, they do.
Sometimes.
They don't always, but they have the
You
ability
get
to.
cash back.
And they even after you cash out, they can still charge you.
Okay, now by incinerator,
It's happening. It's happening.
by burning chametz by these things, so it's like this. There's a big tumult in the paiskim about if you have a ner of Bassur B'chalav, are you allowed to use it for a mitzvah, for Chanukah, for other things? So, Achutz D'Isra Hano, it's one shmuz. The shaila is, the paiskim some paiskim are busy with Isra Hano. So there's the Eli Rabbah says, what happened to Isra Bishul? So the Yad Avram Shulchan Aruch says that there's no Isra Bishul when it's derech ibud. He brings a very interesting raya. The Gemara in Tzemura discusses things which are nikvar, things you have to bury, Yisrei Hana. And he says that you have to certainly Yisrei Hana you have to bury. The Gemara gives a whole list, and among them is Bassur B'chalav. And Rabbi Yehuda says if you have an option of burning it, if you want, you don't have to dafka bury it. So l'chayra, he brings a raya that you're allowed to burn derech ibud, derech shreifa is not called bishul.
Fire though?
What?
You should let it burn in your fireplace.
Yeah.
Make your house warm.
Yes.
Even though you haven't got enough from it.
That's another shmuz if it's Bassur B'chalav already having hana. That's another shmuz. That's not yet so in Torah class on chum. You can't have enough of it. But hamniya, the bishul, that problem you won't have. Now, the garbage cans, these things, the guy who's driving his truck, these things would be mokum to be mekel on, even though there are chalchim on this, there are many chalchim on this. Mikol makayim, very often when you're dealing with these things, you have a lot of tzirufim. It's not a psikresha, it's not for sure they're going to be burnt together, Bassur B'chalav. It's einem miskaven. In a dishwasher, you have some more tzirufim. You have in a dishwasher, you have it's already could be a klisheni or klishlishi by how you look at the water in there. So there will be other tzirufim which pashas these things. If you shop your yachol ismaich.
Could be the rice also stealing. burn the garbage.
That's depends. If you hold in Machusadin in Eretz Yisrael, and if you hold Spasha, that's what the mitzvah. Yeah, this is this you have to see the rest of the truth over there. Now, the guy who ran his truck on this Bassur B'chalav oil, so pashtus, there should be no problem. Why should there be no problem? Chayr is being nena from treifa oil. Teretz says he's not being nena from the Bassur B'chalav. The flavor in the oil doesn't make the truck run any better. The oil itself is not Bassur B'chalav. So chayr it should be mutter. Now there's a
You have the
Ramah.
same heter for watching the cooking shows in the treifas.
So it depends if you're learning from the. So Paiskim say, but look, what I saw Paiskim say, but watching the cooking show, that type of hana is not necessary. It's not a direct hana from the Bassur B'chalav that they make.
It doesn't adless bird. The buyer of the butter wanted the dead bird's flavor in the butter. Also, didn't want.
No, but
the
it
dead
is
bird.
Bassur B'chalav. The chalav is aser. The chalav is aser b'hana. If it's Bassur B'chalav, the chalav itself is aser b'hana.
And the oil is not as
Yeah, it's the flavor. Now the problem is there's a Ramah says the Emerson Peizayin a whole long shopping list of hummus. He says that when you have boiling water which you wash fleischer dishes and boiling water which you wash milk dishes, if you mix them together, you can't feed it to your cow. He speaks out Asur B'hana. Bishul is one issue, but another issue is there's the Isser Hana if you mix it together. So l'chayra over here would seem that the Ramah is machmir, that even something which became ne'esar because of Bassur B'chalav not to have Hana. The Shach says we don't keep these chumras, and Mamela, if someone l'chayra this guy there would be what to be even the Ramah is only a chumra, then the Shach mekel, so l'chayra there would be what to down on to be mekel on. And we mentioned with washing dishes, washing towels, these things, that they will be mutter. There's another big tziruf also over there that if you put in soap or detergent, so everything is ruined. It's not there official once it's ruined already. It's not going to be royal achila. Now to fix electricity, we say weiter. There's you have the miskaven, and it's a sveika. Maybe there's nothing in the ovens, even if there is. Maybe it's kosher. To be a waiter or a delivery boy, so over here it's not pashut, because over here you're having hana, and I saw Shlomo Zayden Asers even to be a freight broker to have to arrange the shipping if you're getting paid for it. He holds it's called binyanena from Bassur B'chalav. If someone has a online place platform where people sell, if people are selling Bassur B'chalav and you're making a profit of it, it's going to be aser. There's a shmooze if you get, to give out coupons for your workers. I know I have a guy who he made a party every Chaga for his workers, and he chapped that Yidden will come to the party, and he was coming to a Cheshverish party over there. So instead, he gives all the workers, he gives them coupons to a restaurant. The guy gives the guys a restaurant. We wouldn't want to have a whole pile of Goyim and Glapite, so he gives them to everyone. Yidden, he gives to the Yiddish restaurant. So now he had a problem that the restaurant is a fleischer restaurant. It's all Bassur B'chalav. So the person say, if the guy has an option to sit and buy 17 Cokes, so then Yizach good. Otherwise, there is a deal in the person who's making a problem of being nana from Bassur B'chalav.
He has an option to buy something else.
Now, with the nurses and the waiters, not all pashas, it's usher. I did see Tzvi Eliezer has a tziruf over here. He has an interesting tziruf over here. He says that when you're feeding the guy, your patient, pshat is you're not getting paid to feed the patient. The waiter would be a little bit worse. You're getting paid for your holistic job. They're making you do this, and you'd be just as happy to feed him kosher as treif. So Tzvi Eliezer wants this with the Dagmar Rava, with a couple of tzirufim. He wants to try to be mekel over here to be nana. It says certainly if someone's going to lose his job, then Malcolm Hepson needs to have al malis.
You can't warm it up though. In the microwave.